Mandawa, a small, sleepy town in the Shekhawati region of Rajasthan. But personally for me, it's much more than that. This is where my journey truly began. Even though it was an accidental start to the journey, this was my first tryst with trip leading, going back to 1989. Pushkar Fair, 1989, a French group waiting in the lobby of Taj Palace Hotel. I accidentally happened to be there. A senior colleague pushed me on the bus. I was all of 19 years old, had no idea where Mandawa was on the map, didn't speak French, yet here I was in a bus full of French travelers with no clue where I was heading, what I was supposed to do. But Mandawa was the first place I came to. If I'm being honest, this is also the place where I fell in love with traveling in India. So at the time, I did not know this is going to become my future, but it did. And at this time when I was starting out, I was also trying to understand the country, the people and the stories. But Mandawa, that's what I wanted to talk about in this video. Mandawa stayed with me. Not because it was grand, not because it was luxurious. It was none of the above. There was just one hotel, the Castle Mandawa. We unfortunately stayed at a place called Desert Resort. Not the Desert Resort in its current avatar, but 6 tents pitched up for us where we spend the night and one common toilet. So I'm talking about that time frame. But Mandawa stayed with me because it felt real. Last week, I was back in Mandawa. This time it was with a very different intention. Earlier, all these years that I have traveled back to Mandawa, it was more for taking my clients. It was more for trip leading purposes. This time I had gone with a simple purpose. I had gone to see does Mandawa still hold that magic? Can I still call it the open air museum? And B, can I make it a part of high-end itineraries and other itineraries? The short answer, yes, I can. What you experience in Mandawa is very different from your typical Rajasthan circuits. You are actually not visiting a destination, you are walking through history. Remember, the silk trade route caravans used to pass through this city. You walk on the same streets where once the caravans moved goods. You are imagining it, but you can also, if you let your imagination run a bit wild and you are actually good with your senses, you can also feel it. I always feel that the town still carries that memory. And that becomes visible because there are those havelis, those beautiful fresco painted houses. Some of them still standing in their full grandeur, some very painstakingly restored by the people. And here, I would say that Taj Hotels and Vivana have done a great job of restoring at least those havelis where they're offering accommodation to people. So some of the havelis are still standing in their full grandeur. Others, unfortunately, are slowly fading away. They are dilapidated, they are worn out. They're kind of still struggling to hold on. People have painted on top of it, plaster has started to fall off. And that contrast is extremely powerful because it is showing you both what it once was and what we are at the risk of losing. The frescoes on the wall, the detailing, the colors, all of them have a story to tell. If you just stood there and you looked at it, you can actually see the story come alive. There are details in it. And if after 250 years you can still make out the details, they must have done a very good job. But the best part about visiting Mandawa is there is no rush, there is no crowd pushing you, and it doesn't matter which direction you walk. You'll get bothered by the occasional person wanting to ask you if you want a guide or if somebody can show you around, but hey, they're not that pesky as you see in the other cities. If you're with your own trip leader or a guide, you're going to love it. So there is no rush, there is no crowd pushing you, and the more you walk, the more you get to experience this. Remember, these are the narrow lanes that once saw the active trade. You're actually part of the history. You will walk across some old wells, still functional, beautifully painted. Some have been forgotten with the paint inside them still visible. I did happen to see a little bit of artwork on a few of them. I used to see a lot more wells with artwork, less now, but they're still there. So personally, as I said, this is not, there are no monuments to visit. It's an open air museum. It's a city which is an open air museum where you can take a leisurely stroll and just walk around and experience it. The reality is, places like this don't disappear suddenly. They will fade slowly, one Haveli at a time, one wall gone at a time, one story dying at a time, unless we start going back to them. Now, the good news is, access is no longer a problem. Road connectivity has improved significantly. If you think about it, from Jaipur to Mandawa, it's only about 3.5 hours. And from Delhi, roughly 4.5 hours. We drove back from Mandawa to Delhi. Took us all of 4.5 hours. Which means, for the domestic traveler, they can easily make this a weekend getaway. And trust me, you will find it's something different, it's something meaningful, and it's something beyond the usual. And travel with your kids. They will love it. Make them see that history. For the inbound travelers, hey, it fits perfectly into every existing route. So even if you're just doing a golden triangle, this could easily fit in the beginning or towards the end. You could make it a part of your Rajasthan itineraries. Easily accessible, as I said. It's not a complicated destination, but it's a completely different experience if added to the itinerary, if added to the journey. Your people will go back, or the people will learn a different side of India. We often in our industry talk about heritage, but Mandawa is the place where we can experience it like this. Mandawa and the Shekhawati region are very accessible, very authentic, and I would say still untouched in a lot of ways, in many ways. But I don't think that will remain forever. They will eventually either disappear or they will lose their authenticity. This is our living heritage, and the truth is, we should experience it while we still can. Because once it fades, we'll only talk about what it used to be.